So we've looked this week at recapping all the percentages work that you've done. So now we're going to look at applying it to some real life situations. So long-term learning target's still the same. I can solve percentage problems using a multiplier. The supporting learning target is I can apply my percentages, knowledge and skills to a real life situation. So we're going to look this week at a Kids Savers account from Halifax Bank. I've chosen this one because my daughter Anna's got a Kids Savers account, and the stuff that we're going to talk about has actually happened. So it's not something I've made up for this for you to do. So basically the interest rate for the Kids Savers account at Halifax Bank is 2% AER on balances from £1 to £5,000. Now AER is the annual equivalent rate. So equivalent we know means the same, annual is yearly. So at the end of the year you're going to get the equivalent of 2% interest on your balance. Anything over £5,000 the interest rate drops significantly, you only get 0.02%. Now, the difficulties we have is that the interest is paid monthly, and this tends to what happens with savings accounts. So you get your AER, your annual equivalent rate, but then you've got to calculate how much interest you'd get a month. So using that information then, so consider Billy, he has £3,000 in his Halifax Kids Savers account. How much interest will he earn each month? So what we have to do, I've just realised I've skipped one. Let's go back. So he's got £3,000 in his Kids Savers account. How much interest will he have earned at the end of the year? So we're just going to do the £3,000. Remember, we're using multipliers to be the most efficient we can be. Multiply by 0.02 and get £60. So basically at the end of the year, for Billy investing his money in the Halifax Bank, they're going to pay him £60. Now the banks want you to put your money with them, because they then spend your money. So they collect everybody's money together and they spend it, they invest to try and get interest themselves. So the more money they have, the more money they can invest basically. What will his bank balance be at the end of the year? So obviously you could just add on the £60, so it's 3,060. But if you didn't have that part to start with, if you just had this question, to be the most efficient you can, it would be £3,000 multiplied by 1.02. And that'll tell you your £3,060 straight away. So just be careful, check what it's asking you to do. I see these mistakes made all the time. It might ask for the balance at the end of the year and you just work out interest, or it might ask for interest and you work out the balance at the end of the year. So just be really thorough in your reading of the questions. Right, Billy has £3,000 in his account. How much interest will he earn each month? So all you have to do basically, because obviously it's paid in monthly, is you do it for the year like you've just done. £3,000 times 0.02 is £60, and then your £60 divided by 12. He'll get an extra £5 a month into his account. Obviously it's a little bit more complicated than what we're doing, because after the first month he'll have £3,005, and then 2% of that is going to be bigger than the 2% of the 3,000, and it's got to be 2% overall equivalent at the end of the year. But for what we're doing in the application that we're doing, we're just going to keep it like this for now. Right, and then what happened, I got a letter from Halifax saying that the interest rates on the Kids Savers account has gone down from 2% to 1.45%, and for anything over 5,000, instead of 0.02, it's 0.01. Now the reason for that is that the Bank of England had reduced their interest rates to an all-time low. Now on the Expedition website under immersion, you've probably looked at this already. The headlines, the articles on this and the videos of what interest rates, the Bank of England interest rates are. Basically, if the Bank of England lower their interest rates, it's because they want to encourage people to spend to help the economy. So because of coronavirus, people being out of work, etc., things like that, lots of different things happening. To keep the economy going, we need people to be spending money. So they'll lower the interest rates on savings accounts to encourage you to spend. If the Bank of England increases the interest rates, it's because they want to encourage people to save and reduce the amount they're spending. But we're going to look at that in a bit more detail next week with different applications like mortgages and loans, things like that. But yeah, that's why because the Bank of England interest rates have gone down, other banks then follow suit. So Halifax Bank have reduced their interest rates on their savings accounts. So we'll just have a look at the impact of that. So sticking with Billy and his £3,000, how much interest will Billy now earn in a year? So you're going to do £3,000 multiplied by 0.0145. And if you put that in your calculator, you get £43.50. So instead of getting £60 at the interest at the end of the year, he's now only going to get £43.50. So his balance, if you was doing that in one calculation, 3,000 multiplied by 1.0145, and you'd get £3,043.50. And then again, to do it each month, you're just going to take the £43.50 divided by 12, but you actually get 3.625. Now, because we're talking about money, we'd round to 2 decimal places, so it'd be £3.63 each month, instead of the £5 a month that you would originally have got. Now, just the last couple of bits. So, same again, he's got his £3,000 in his account. What would Billy's balance be at the end of 5 years using the 2% interest rate? So again, using what your method that you've been doing for the repeated percentages, making sure we're efficient as we can be, with 3,000 multiplied by 1.02 to the power of 5, and you would get £3,312.24. How will Billy's balance have changed now that the interest rate has dropped to 1.45%? So we do the same calculation, but with 1.0145 as your multiplier. And now his balance at the end of 5 years would only be £3,223.97. So you've got just under £100 difference, which you might think after 5 years is not that much. But consider businesses that are you're talking dealing with hundreds of thousands of pounds, millions of pounds, the impact that could have on their businesses, which again we're going to look at in more detail next week. And then lastly, just because it can be a little bit more complicated than what we've done, on the 1st of May, Billy has £3,000 in his Halifax Kids Savers account. His granddad wants to add £100 at the start of June, then another £100 at the start of July. What will Billy's balance be at the end of July? So if we stick with the 2% to start with, the way that you would work this out, it's very, very long-winded and you're having to do it monthly. At the end of the first month, when he's got £3,000, times that by 0.02, divide it by 12 to get your monthly interest. So at the end of May, he's going to have £5 interest added. So the 3,000 times 0.02 would be the £60. And then we're just dividing it by 12. So I've just tried to be more efficient, but making sure you're still showing all you're working out. Then, so that's at the end of May, then we're going to have another £100 added. So not only has he got the £5 added, he's got the extra £100. So it's £3,105. Times that by 0.02, divide that by 12, and he's going to get £5.18. So again, add that on to 3,105 plus your extra £100 that his granddad's putting in. You're getting £3,210.18. Multiply by 0.02. Divide that by 12. And you're getting £5.35 added. So at the end of July, the balance would be £3,215.53. Now, if we did it with the other interest rate, the 1.45%, I've already worked that one out just to save time on here. The balance would be £3,211.26. So you can see it's only like the £4 difference, but that's just with within 3 months with in context, a relatively small amount of money. So again, consider the implications that could have on vast amounts.